There we go. Okay, so we are up to the 6th pasuk. This is going to be our last shot on this pasuk, and the last shot on the introduction, which we'll see in a minute. The last pasuk says, "Lahavim mashal militza." What's the purpose of this book? Where are we trying to get to understand mashal and militza? We spent time on that yesterday of what the difference is between mashal and militza, and we brought up the Graz explanation. That we brought up one explanation that taught us that mashal is the lesson that you learn. Militza is the vehicle, the medium that you use to bring out that lesson. And then the Graz understanding of Torah Shebechsav, Torah Shebal Peh. One was the outside and one was the inside of wisdom. And that's what we're trying to achieve with studying this book. Then the second part of the phrase of that pasuk was Divrei Chachamim v'chidosam, was the words of the rabbis and chidosam. So we said chidosam really means like jokes, or which is hard to imagine. Better to translate the word as nuances, and that what we will get out of this book is understanding better the nuances of the rabbis. But I think that it goes a little bit deeper, at least an explanation of it. That we know that in Shas, and I've brought this out of many a time, that there are many enigmatic statements that are said by the rabbis, many stories that are odd, many examples that are given that are odd, that push the levels and push the envelope of I want to say believability. And the stories are being told, points are being made that sound very unreal. And the truth is that as we spoke about when we spoke about what mishalim are, that the rabbis speak in these terms because these make impressions. They were dealing with a generation that was downtrodden. They were dealing with a generation that was suffering from Roman occupation, a generation that was not so open, and therefore the only way to open them was to talk in these kinds of metaphors. We know that with the Tam and the Shiana Daily Shol at the Seder, so then we have to open them up. We have to tell them the fantastic stories of the Exodus of Egypt with all of the Cecil B. DeMille details. We've got to draw it, and we've got to paint it, and we've got to make it, almost make it sing like music, so that it makes an impression on them. And the Chachamim had to do that for us also, because without that, we wouldn't understand the importance and the value of the things that we're trying to teach. And that's what it means, that when we hear these mishalim, we will fully understand the Divrei Chachamim v'chidosam and their enigmas. All the things that we look at and we say that's enigmatic. It's not clear what they mean with that. When they talk about, all kinds of things. It's even the story that I told you about the fish. When they talk about these kinds of things in these metaphoric kinds of terms, so then the more we hear the mishalim, the more we understand not just the stories that they're telling, but the points that they're trying to make to us. Sometimes the points are even lost when you tell me these metaphors. And I don't understand why that's even important for it to make. But when we study it through these mishalim, it's easier to understand them. Says the Gra at this point that this is the end of the introduction of the book of Mishlei. It's not bad, 7-8 classes worth, right? This is the end of the book of Mishlei. Then the Gra goes on to say something amazing, and you can see it up on the chat. The things that we're going to need to see and understand. You know what? I'm going to have to do a shared page because some of the things that I did to the page didn't come through. Okay, 1 second. Shared screen. Okay, that should be big enough. Everybody should be able to see it. Is that good for everybody? Okay. The Gra says as follows. The Vilna Gaon says that the Ad Kan Hakdamas HaSefer, this is the end of the Hakdama, of the introduction of the Sefer. Mia Mechabro, who is the one that wrote it, right? Follow me, let me get a colored pen. Okay, so who wrote it? The author, Shlomo ben David, Melech Yisrael. Okay, that's the identity of the author. Great. Then the Kolokan Arba Dvarim. He included 4 things that we need to accomplish. Lilmod, Villa'asos, to learn and to do. V'hama'aseh, and the action is nechlak l'shlosha. It's split into 3 different pieces. Meaning that what are we supposed to accomplish? What are we supposed to learn and do here? We are supposed to learn chachma, musar, and bina, and I underlined them. That's the point. This is the author, Shlomo ben David Melech Yisrael. This is what he's teaching: chachma, musar, and bina. And then there are 3 things that we need to do to acquire that. One is lakachas, to take. One is lases, to put. And one is vayishma, to hear. And then the 4th one is lahavin. Beautiful. And then says the Gra that mitchila yikach adam es atzmo lasos, that lakachas, that has to come first. You have to take yourself, commit yourself to doing. V'achakach yilo siyata d'shma, you'll then have help from heaven. V'achakach yishma v'yavinod, and then you will hear and you will understand more. And now says the Gra, v'choshev kan chamisha asar devarim. There are 15 things that are being said now. After what was stated as the objective of the book, the things you're going to achieve is Haskel. I'll go back to here. Chachma, Musar, and Bina, right, that you're going to achieve. And along with that, the details of Chachma, Musar, and Bina are going to be Haskel, Tzedek, Mishpat, Meisharim, Arma, maybe we said street smarts, Das, understanding, Lekach, Tachbulos, systems, Mashal, Militza, Divrei Chachamim, and Chidosam. Those are the Yud Beis, the 12 Pratim, the 12 specific things that you're going to gain and you're going to need to know from this book. Why did the Gra feel it necessary to point out 3 and 12? Everybody following me? I can't see everybody's picture. Even those whose picture I could see. I'm set up differently now, so I don't see everybody's picture. I'm looking at a few more faces now. But everybody gets that there's 3 things, Chachma, Musar, Bina, and then there is 12 systems how to achieve that. Haskel, Tzedek, and things you're going to achieve out of this. Haskel, Tzedek, Mishpat, Misharim. Why that? So the Gra says it corresponds to, look down here, Yud Beis Shvatim, the 12 tribes, and the Shlosha Avos, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. In other words, Chachma, Musar, and Bina correspond to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And then the 12 steps to the Yud Beis Shvatim, to the 12 tribes. But we don't stop there. Says the Gra, it also corresponds to the 15 words of Birchas Kohanim. 1, 2, 3, right? See it here. Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yo'er Hashem panav elecha v'chuneka. And then Yisa Hashem panav, 9, 10, 11. Elecha, 12. V'yasem lecha shalem, 15. But wait, it's 3 and 12. Granted, it's 15 total, but it's 3 and 12. Look at the names of God. 1, 2, 3. And if I take out the names of God, it's Yivarechecha, Yishmerecha, Ye'er panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa panav elecha v'sem lecha shalom. That's 12. Can't write so well with this. That's 12. And then the names of God, that's 3. Wow. Huh? It's amazing. What does that have to do with anything? Like, why did the Gra need to point out that this corresponds to the Shvatim, it corresponds to the tribes, and it corresponds to the Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, or it corresponds to the blessings of the blessing that God gave to the Jewish people, minus his 3 names, so that's Chachma, Musar, Bina, and then the 12 words of the blessing. That's corresponds to the 12 things that we're supposed to get out of this book. Because this is telling us that this book of Mishlei and everything that comes out of it, this book is the source and the basis of everything Jewish. If you remember at the very beginning, we said that the Vilna Gaon told his wife, he wrote a letter to her on his way to Eretz Yisrael, and he told his wife that there is a volume of Mishlei in the house. And he said she should learn that every day. Because hafeichba v'afeichba tekulaba. Turn it over and turn it over again, because everything you need is contained inside of it. Just like the Torah. The Gra and everyone holds that the basis of Jewish existence is sourced from the book of Mishlei. These 3 kalalim, these 3 generalizations that we have, Chachma, Musar, and Bina, this is the foundation of our Torah lives. This is who we are, what we are meant to be, what we are meant to achieve. This is the foundation of the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes, which is the foundation, the structure of the Jewish people. There are 12 tribes because there are 12 windows into HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because there are 12 months during the year, in the year. There are 12 energies that exist in this world. There are 12 permutations of 12 different types of personality traits. This structure called the Yud Beis Shvatim, called the 12 tribes, this structure is the basic structure of the Jewish people. Where does that come from? Where does the basis of everything we have come from? Our Haskel Tzedek, Mishpat Misharim, our Orma, our Das, our Lekach, our Tachbulos, our Mashal Melitza, Divrei Chachamim V'chidaisam. Where does that all come from? Those all come from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. It comes from the roots of Chesed, of Din, and of Emes, of truth, of kindness, and of justice, and of truth, which is a blending, an appropriate blending of the two. And that's what the Jewish people are about. The Jewish people are about Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Chachma, Musar, and Bina. We are about Torah, Avoda, Gemilas Chasadim. It's all wrapped in. It's the 3 that's the foundation for the 12 that is the foundation for the nation of the Jews. And what do you need to know that for? Because you need to know that when we perfect ourselves within the qualities of the Jewish people, what's coming to us? What's coming to us is the blessing from God. Is Yivarechecha v'yishmerecha, Yo'er panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Those 12 perfections that we make yield us 12 brachos from the Master of the universe. And where does that all come from? Hashem, Hashem, Hashem. That's why the Gra takes out the 3 names of God. He looks at the brachos as 12 words. Because when we perfect that 12, so then we end up being connected to those 3. The Gra sees both of these inside of all of these words. This is the introduction because it's one message with 2 parts. The message is that we are 12 shvatim. We have 12 qualities that need to be developed, that need to be gained from learning this book. Those 12 have their roots in Chachma, Musar, and Bina, which is Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And those 12, the perfection of those 12 will yield us bracha, me'es Hashem, from God himself. When Moshe Rabbeinu built altars, before the Torah was given, the Torah says he built 12 altars. The Mefarshim say he built 144 altars. He built 12 altars, 12 monuments for every single tribe. Because every single tribe has strains of every other tribe. Every one of us is made up of every one of us. To represent that, there were 144 of them, 12 for each tribe. To say that me and the tribe of Yehuda, I also have parts of Asher and Gad and Levi and Shimon and Reuven. And in Reuven, he has parts of Levi, Shimon, Gad. We're made up of all of these. And that's why it was beautiful that we each had our own personalities. We each had our own identities. But at the end of the day, when we stood in front of God, our identities were one. When we stood in front of God, we became melded into one person. And that's the concept of an Ir Shechu B'lo Yachdav, that Jerusalem was a city that drew us all together because we all became united as one. This was what Moshe Rabbeinu did before he went and got the Torah from God. He let the people know that we are a ravens, elazeh, we are connected to each other, we are woven in and melded to each other. And when we achieve that through perfecting the tzedek, the mishpat, the haskel, the meisharim, when we perfect our identity with the 12 tribes, then what it yields is, it yields bracha from Hashem. And that is the introduction to the book of Mishlei. That's the introduction, gives us a path, it gives us a direction, that this is what we're trying to get out of the book. Increasing our identity with the Jewish nation and identifying our own personalities and learning how to apply Chachma, Musar, and Bina to those aspects of our personality so that ultimately we can achieve bracha and ultimate connection to God. Beautiful. Now, there's no way I could have done this entire introduction in one shot. It's a beautiful, stunning, complex introduction of taking apart every piece of it and then putting it back together. And that is very often the way that we learn Psukim. Now let's get started with Mishlei. Okay, so we don't have much time, but just look at the next pasuk. Yiras Hashem reishis das. The fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. Chochma u'musar evilim bazu. That Chochma and Musar, wisdom and discipline, evilim bazu. The wise ones will the skeptics, excuse me, will bazu. They'll be mavazit. They'll scorn it. So I'm gonna give you a little homework. If you have a Mishlei, you can go online. You can get one. Just look at Pasuk Zion, verse 7, chapter 1. And based on the way we looked at the first 6 verses, just ask questions. I don't need answers. Just ask questions. To deconstruct this pasuk, what are you going to ask? I'm not going to do it now. This is not tomorrow. I'm sorry. This will be next week. But Sunday there'll be no class, obviously, because it's Tisha B'Av. But Yetz Hashem on tomorrow will be Pasha. But I want you to look at this and just no commentaries, just look at an English translation if you need, and just ask, what's going on in this pasuk? What's the message of the pasuk? What are the components of the pasuk? Does the second half of the pasuk, what does it have to do with the first half of the pasuk? Okay, excellent. Everybody should have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing, awesome day. And Yetz Hashem, we will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rabbi. Have a good day, everyone.
Pleasure. Have a good day.
Have a good day, people.
Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day.